Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is about the controversy surrounding Naomi Pilula. We are going to react to a video from Mayowa's World titled "We Don't Like Black Features."
White, light, and racially ambiguous people are allowed to look average. They're allowed to look like everybody else. They're allowed to look common, and that is fine. And I feel like because Lupita isn't someone who wears a weave and shows her body, it's like not considered sexy, because people can't fathom a dark-skinned woman being sexy if it's not very explicit. And it was kind of like linked to what I was talking about with like Love Island and Olandria, and how like a lot of people were always talking about her body, and they're thinking about her body, especially about her body because of what she can do for people, and like that being kind of the main talking about her body, and they're thinking about her body, especially about her body because of what she can do for people, and like that being kind of the main form that people can acknowledge when someone is sexy or beautiful. So it's just like this thing that people expect dark-skinned people to be okay with being called ugly, and their beauty is also always up for debate.
The first issue she raised is about the fetishization of black women. During colonization, Europeans spread the idea that black women were hypersexualized and only valuable for sex. To understand this, I recommend looking into the story of the Black Venus. Trigger warning is really hurtful, so if you are sensitive, please be careful. Why are people so comfortable calling dark-skinned women ugly? Because many dark-skinned people internalize that idea and set it as true. Once dark-skinned people fully embrace their beauty and take pride in it, I assure you, nobody will dare to call them ugly anymore.
Hi, welcome to Mayowa's World. Hi y'all, welcome to Mayowa's World. My name is Mayowa, and on my platform I talk about colorism, featurism, texturism, and anti-blackness. Today we're going to be talking about the dislike of the regular black girl. So the first person I'm going to talk about is a woman called Naomi Pilula. She is from Zambia, and she uploaded a selfie of herself that got a lot of hatred simply because she has black features. This would go under the category of Featurism, which is the discrimination of black features. This is all dealing with desirability and the harm that happens to black women when they do not benefit from Eurocentric standards of beauty or stereotypical forms of beauty. People feel like because Naomi is somebody who is embracing her naturalness, her natural nose, and her natural hair, she is deserving of hatred and harm. I think for a lot of people, the only kind of representation that they want from dark-skinned women is women who benefit a lot from desirability, and when you are not that, you will suffer severely. Something that I think is interesting is that the concept of the girl next door, and how the girl next door became a very like marketable aesthetic to symbolize someone who looks like
I don't think people necessarily have a problem with black feature. The issue is when Mayowa says Naomi Pilula represents the ordinary black woman. That's problematic because many ordinary black women, especially dark-skinned women, don't look like her. Naomi Pilula is considered socially ugly. I said socially because beauty is socially constructed and changed depending on the culture. So I think it's anti-black to say Naomi is ugly because of her black features. Once again, it associates blackness with ugliness. Naomi isn't considered unattractive because she has black features. She's judged that way because her facial harmony doesn't fit mainstream beauty standard, and also doesn't fit beauty standard, and doesn't fit also black beauty standards.
Looks like the everyday white woman, and how that was seen as a very kind of cool and relatable aesthetic. I think dark-skinned women are expected to be constantly glammed up, and I think that when dark-skinned women are not glammed up, there is a certain kind of harshness and criticalness that they are met with, and how dark-skinned people aren't able to be seen as a girl next door. So when you see people who do look like this, you're shamed for looking like this, while simultaneously people can also make fun of people who get nose jobs, and when the nose job looks too severe, that is also criticized. When your natural features look too natural, that's also criticized. So it's like this thing where you're forced into playing the game of desirability, but you are punished if you are not playing it well enough. And the same features that people hate on Black women are championed in other women.
There are points where I agree with her. Yes, Black beauty has been demonized: broad nose, full lips, dark skin, and so on. No features have been seen as beautiful on non-Black people, but ugly on us. That's true. But this demonization has gone so far because Black people themselves accepted the idea that Black beauty equals ugliness. Look at African countries, the West Indies, or South America, where skin bleaching is common. Look at how many Black women prefer straight wigs instead of addressing their natural hair or wigs with afro textures. It's no responsibility to embrace and impose their own beauty. Nobody else is going to save us.
Are championed in other women. So for those who have seen online, there was a lot of discourse around Lupita because a girl called Miss Georgie went online and talked about how she doesn't feel like Lupita is a pretty dark-skinned girl and that there could be better dark-skin representation.
I feel like y'all just be picking the darkest, ugliest Black girl and giving her kudo points for being pretty. But like, it's just kind of like how y'all been shoving down people's necks with Lupita. And I'm not saying she's like but ugly. I'm not saying that. I just feel like I hate that when it comes to Black girl beauty standards, y'all always pick the struggle. Y'all always pick the struggle Black girl.
And I want to talk about this because, of course, there's just one person's opinion online, but I think that this speaks to a bigger discussion around the hatred or dislike of regular dark-skinned looking women. So Miss Georgie was talking about how she feels like Lupita isn't a pretty dark-skinned girl, and then she proceeds to show images of the dark-skinned girls that she finds pretty. And something that I
about this controversy, I think I assure you, the girl in the video was just looking for views. She's an unknown artist and she tried to become famous, and one of the easiest way to go viral, especially on TikTok, is to talk badly about Black women, and it's worked. But on the other hand, she also had a lot of backlash. Many people defended Lupita Nyong'o, saying she's a true potential of Black beauty. Lupita is beautiful, so even though this girl gained some temporary popularity, most people, especially Black people, stood up for Lupita Nyong'o. And it's beautiful.
Just of the dark-skinned girls that she finds pretty. And something that I was realizing was that there seems to be two disconnects between Lupita and the quote-unquote pretty dark-skinned women, and it is because Lupita is someone who wears her natural hair, and it's also because Lupita is somebody who does not overtly sexualize herself. So there are a lot of channels online that call themselves exoticals, and there are women who believe that the best representation for Blackness is going to be women who are deemed exotic. And I think typically speaking, what would count someone as exotic is if you have a looser hair texture, if you have lighter skin, or if you have more skinny or thin features. Anyway, it's a weird side of the internet to me. And something that I also was realizing with it is that the kind of representation that they want or they like has a very specific kind of look. It is usually people who are wearing weave or benefit from texturism, as in have like a looser hair texture. So I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine.
Not about exoticals. I won't spend too much on them. Like Chrissy, they are often frustrated and uncomfortable with their Blackness. Some of them act with this mean girl energy, and their entire personality revolves around being exotic and pretty. Honestly, I found that ridiculous because outside the bubble, the world still sees them, especially America and United States, sees them as regular Black women. As for Lupita, I think she's a good example of Black beauty, natural hair, minimal makeup, and far from the body aesthetic, which I believe has harmed Black women more than uplift them.
As in have like a looser hair texture. So I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine. Her name is Khadija. She is from Germany and she is so intelligent and she needs to make a YouTube channel, but she's too scared because of all the hate, but she's really, really smart. But she was the one who was talking to me about how an expectation for Lupita to wear straight hair, because I feel like a lot of people think that Lupita is a perfect looking woman, but the thing that they don't like about her is the fact that she's not wearing a straight hair texture. This isn't the first time that publicly people people have called Lupita unattractive. I remember that there was an athlete who also said that Lupita was unattractive. And I also remember Lupita talking about her experiences with colorism and how she viewed herself because of the ways that she was treated. So it's just like this thing that people expect dark-skinned people to be okay with being called ugly, and their beauty is also always up for debate. Like, I remember when Narunyeusi came out and people were like, oh, she's so pretty, she's like a black Barbie doll. But then I saw that when Anuk had shaved her hair, people were really upset about her. People were really upset about it and said that she was masculinizing herself, even though she was the person who decided to shave her own hair. And often whenever people
practice for the work, gal brace, position, gymnast, in front the mirror, gal take a flick.
So that she was masculinizing herself, even though she was the person who decided to shave her own hair. And often whenever people talk about the beauty of Anuk, they usually will use an image of her with straight hair. And I think that that's like speaking to the fact that you can only compliment dark skin beauty if it's playing into Eurocentric standards of beauty by having straight hair or being very skinny. I'll never forget how people treated Francesca and saying that her playing Juliet was taking away roles from dark-skinned women who are way prettier than her, even though she is actually a very pretty girl. They felt like there was, that is when we talk about Featurism, and how because Francesca is someone who has stereotypically very black features and she's not wearing a weave, she wears braids or her natural hair, and she has the features that she does, people were just like, she's not pretty enough. Meanwhile, Tom Holland or whatever the hell his name, Tom Holland had no issue being told if he was attractive enough, even though he looks like every single white boy I've ever seen work at Starbucks. So only one of those people's looks was up for debate.
At this point, I think she's distracting from the real issue. Romeo and Juliet is a play by Shakespeare set in Verona, in Italy. So Juliet is an Italian girl, white girl, why cast a black actress? Some say it's for representation, but the truth is we don't have enough original African story where black women can play black characters. It's the same issue with The Little Mermaid. They cast a black casted actress, but instead of creating original black stories, we are inserted into white narratives. This creates the image that black people can only exist within someone else's world. It also pushes the message that white men are savior of black women, which is harmful. That's why Tom Holland doesn't get the backlash. He's a white man being around white men, and it's normal.
Average. They're allowed to look like everybody else. They're allowed to look common, and that is fine. Like, we are so used to our black women looking mixed that when we see an actual black woman, it's making people mad that she's not feminine enough, that she's not the kind of black woman we want to see. We want her hair to be loose. We want her eyes to be blue. We want her skin to be light. You don't want a black person to play the role. If you as a black person think that she's not pretty because she's too masculine and she doesn't deserve the role and it deserves to go to somebody lighter or who has a thinner nose or who has a smaller jaw or who has more feminine features, baby, we will never be free. As in, we will never be free. Like, I literally was watching a video with Michael Cera in it, and like, I remember girls saying that Michael Cera was a really attractive guy, and the only reason people thought he was attractive was because he was a dorky white man, and that is seen as like an attractive, cute feature. But you want me to believe that Francesca shouldn't get a role even though she has the natural talent for it, simply because she doesn't want to wear a weave and she doesn't fit.
Francesca isn't the most beautiful black woman, but she's not ugly either. She's simply an average black woman, and that's okay. Calling her masculine in the comments is definitely racist, and I agree with her. Look at Michael Cera. He's a proof of how white beauty standards are normalized worldwide. Black people need to do the same, impose their own beauty standard. We must convince ourselves that blackness equals beauty, not ugliness.
She doesn't want to wear a weave and she doesn't fit this like Eurocentric standard of beauty. This is the comment. Yes, Tom gets to be average, but dark-skinned women can't. People are in my comments arguing that Francesca is not feminine enough and that she's below average, but no one is talking about Tom. I haven't seen any discourse about how Tom looks or how the average palm-colored man who is an actor looks. All of these men, they all look the same. You know why? Because they look average. All of these women, they look the same. Same font, one's bold, one's italicized. Average non-black people are allowed to be average. There's no discourse about his features, advocating that it's not masculine enough. But the truth is that y'all think people who are ugly are not deserving of love. You think that only attractive people are deserving of opportunities, of work, of being seen, of being validated, of being loved over.
I don't think actors in Hollywood are average. In industries like acting, beauty is central to success. We may see average to us because our standards differ, but Hollywood was built by white people for white people. Their beauty standards are Eurocentric. So if you are unhappy with that, then the solution is to build your own media industries and promote your own beauty standard.
Things. And I am not saying Francesca is ugly at all, but even if she was an ugly person, if her talent is there, why are you advocating for her not to take that role? Our obsession with beauty and defending beautiful people and wanting to only see beautiful people, and we're hypercritical of black women, but we allow people like this to walk scotch-free. Our obsession with beauty and defending beautiful people and wanting to only see beautiful people, and we're hypercritical of black women, but we allow people like this to walk scotch-free is a sickness. And this is also the reason that people had issues with that statue in New York in Times Square, because people just don't like the idea of average or regular looking people. People don't like the idea of regular looking black women being seen out in public, which is so ironic because when I go down the street, I see regular black women all the time.
Here's where I disagree with her. In industry based on image, acting, modeling, music, being attractive does matter. Your image becomes a representation of your entire community. Look at Korea. With K-pop and K-drama made Korean men attractive worldwide. It's the same for others community. Leonardo DiCaprio didn't look like an average Italian guy. He was above average. That was he became a global standard, and people found Italian guy more attractive. This is also why some black women were upset. No black women, black people were upset about that Times Square statue. It suggests that all black women are average, overweight, and careless. Image matters because it shapes how the world perceives her and how we perceive her.
No baddie or anything, like she has a different kind of aesthetic, and I feel like because she doesn't sexualize herself, that is also the disconnect of people not giving her the praises of being a sexy person. Because this majority person said like, oh, Lupita is just not sexy, but I feel like the reason you don't think she's sexy is because it's not like in your face. And I'm not saying this as like a slut shaming way, because I am someone who, if y'all see me out, the girls is out, the legs is out, I'm somebody who likes to show skin. And I feel like because Lupita isn't someone who wears a weave and shows her body, it's like not considered sexy, because people can't fathom a dark-skinned woman being sexy if it's not very explicit. And it was kind of like linked to what I was talking about with like Love Island and Olandria, and how like a lot of people were always talking about her body, and they're thinking about her body, especially about her body because of what she can do for people, and like that being kind of the main form that people can acknowledge when someone is sexy or beautiful. But how like there should be discussion around her face and her features also being just as prominent as her body. You know, I feel like Lupita is somebody who is intentional with how she wears her hair, how she presents, how she comes forward. And she's been a pretty girl since day dot. Like, I don't know if y'all ever watched the film Sugar.
I do agree with her on the point. Black women's body are hypersexualized. That's why we need to pay attention to the artists who represent us. Look at some in hip-hop culture, Sexy Red, Megan Thee Stallion, and even Cardi B, which is who isn't black. That hypersexualize themselves and that became the global image of Black women.
With that girl, and I feel like that's something that she seems anchored in that way, like she knows deep in her heart that she is that girl and she doesn't need to show or do too much to prove it because she knows that that's who she is. But I feel like what Miss Georgie says is what a lot of people think, but they just don't feel confident enough to say it, because I've seen so many videos of light skin or lighter skin people saying that they feel like a dark skinned person doesn't deserve the props that they're getting, doesn't deserve the, even too, Ice Spice said the same thing about Doechii. There is a thing of people just not feeling like dark skinned people are deserving it, even when they're the intense minority, they're still not deserving of it. And that level of anti-blackness has to be worked on individually, because ultimately what that says to me is that you don't see yourself as beautiful. No matter how much you try and spin it, your mind is still deeply colorist. You're still indoctrinated into the same thing that you're not going to benefit from. And people were saying that this Miss Georgie person was doing this for clout online, but like, it's so wild that you want to exclude the only people who would probably listen to your music, which is Black women. Y'all not gonna play with Lupita though, I'll tell you that. Lupita is that girl. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.
What up? Black people grew in an anti-black society, so yes, we all carry some unconscious anti-black ideas. Even Mayowa, by associating blackness with ugliness, reproducing that mindset. It's not responsibility to heal from this. For the Ice Spice controversy, I have already reacted in one of my older videos. Thank you for watching. Like I always say, this channel isn't about victimization. Here, Black people, especially Black girls, take responsibility for their future. My beauty standards are African, and my role is to redefine blackness in a positive way. We can't live in a world where blackness is well associated with ugliness. We are Black, we are beautiful, we are powerful, we only need of no own validation, no anyone else. I'm working on a big project for my Black girl. To support this channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. See you in the next video. Bye!